Damon Khan here for Seconds Out with Fox Townley, also known better as Fox the G, heading into his very important debut in boxing. Fox the G, how you doing?
I'm good, my guy. I'm good. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for your time, man. Thank you.
No, thank you for your time. And what about the time you've been investing into training? I don't want to ask you how training camp's been, but I want to ask you, is training what you thought it would be heading into your fight?
You know what, man? I've had some amateur boxing experience back in Michigan. Um, but that was obviously just amateurs. That was part-time. I was still really having other aspects of my life. I could spend time with my girl if I wanted to, or I could, go to a movie if I wanted to. The diet wasn't there, but this is a professional fight, whether people want to, call it influencer boxing or whatever it is. I'm taking it as seriously as a pro fight because I'm going in there with 10-ounce gloves and no headgear. So I've been in a different country with my coach, living with him, staying with him, being supervised by him 24/7. And it's been a whole different experience of discipline, mental toughness, and just pushing myself. It's been honestly like a Rocky movie, and to be fair. It's been everything I would expect and more.
When it came to choosing your coach, were you set? Did you look around or did you have an idea in mind of who you wanted to go with?
When it comes to coaching, I think it's very important, especially in the sport of boxing, that you have a good connection with your coach. And for me, at Misfits One, actually, I had a gig there. I was doing the ring announcing for a few of the fights, and I met Coach Solomon there at the hotel on fight night. He was coaching Salt Poppy for the, I believe, I can't remember the guy's name now. It'll come back to me, but it was Salt Poppy's first fight on Misfits as well. Um, and I met him and we just connected. We just really clicked and minds and just about boxing in general. So we kind of hit it off, and from there it was just history, man. He said, or I asked him to coach me, and he accepted.
You're fighting Small Spartan J 20th of January. What's your motivation to fight? What do you want to achieve out of this?
Man, I've always loved fighting, to be honest. I've always been very interested in boxing. Since I was very young, I had a lot of love for it. Oh, sorry, I'm getting a call. I've always had a lot of love for the sport of boxing. So when I got the opportunity to fight on Misfits, I wasn't going to turn it down. I've already been training for a very long time. I've always had a lot of love for it. So, man, my motivation is just at this point to provide for my family, if I'm being honest. Now that I have money coming in, be able to make money for it now. I just want to provide and make a good life for my family going forward.
Certainly a good reason to want to fight. When you talk about, you're training, you've watched boxing, you've done a bit before. What's your fight style like as much as you want to give away here?
Um, I mean, obviously, I don't want to give too much away, like you said, but I have plenty of different ways that I could come into a fight. I have a lot of styles that I haven't really shown yet. In my amateur fights, I knew that they were going to try to box me, with kind of a pitter-patter amateur style. So in those fights, I went in very aggressively, putting the pressure on my opponents and just trying to break them, break their will, and just relying on my gas tank. But lately, it's been a lot more focused on the sweet science and studying, the actual art and treating it like a martial art more than just scrapping and street fighting. It's been very much more on the technique side of things. So I'm looking to be a lot more technical upcoming.
If you put yourself and Small Spartan J together and ask the public which one of these guys is the boxer, they'd probably point to Small Spartan J, but that's the beauty of boxing. But are you impressed somewhat by his calisthenics, his physique, what he's managed to build on so far heading into your fight? And do you feel it would be a factor that sort of physique and fitness that he brings?
Um, I mean, good for him, to be honest. He's in incredible shape, obviously. He's got a very good physique, but in my personal experience, when it comes to boxing, the physique really isn't too much of a important trait. Obviously, you want to be in good shape. You want to be able to go the full rounds, and having abs might help maybe. But you've got you look at the very top of the world, you've got Tyson Fury,
Mm.
heavyweight champion, and he's got a horrible body. I mean, he's built like a whoopee cushion. You know, he's he's anything but um you know, for me, yeah, I'm skinny. I'm scrawny, some would say, but I think that I have the better skill, the better technique, and I think that I have everything it takes to defeat him.
I watched Fred's interview with you, and people will pick out with Small Spot and Jay the punch power that he possesses heading into the fight. Is that a worry for you?
If I'm being completely honest with you, you have to respect every opponent that you go in the ring with. You have to take everyone as seriously as you can. I treat everyone like they have the punch and power of Deontay Wilder in the first couple of rounds. You have to be careful. You don't want to rush in with anybody. But I'm here to take a challenge, and I'm not here to shy away. I fully believe that I hit harder than Small Spartan J, which some people will find crazy because of the way that we're built. But
Mm.
for people that have studied boxing, they will understand that sometimes a skinny guy can really thud. And I've sparred Jay's last opponent, the opponent that he actually knocked down. And from what he said to me, I have a lot more power, popping my punch, and knockout ability than Small Spartan J. And not only that, but I can set up my shots a lot better than him. I don't just swing. I actually, you know, do what I need to do from the technique wise. I don't want to say too much, but I can actually box. Jay cannot box.
Yeah, he's a pretty intense come forward type of fighter. Have you been specifically learning on boxing or game planning for him to get the victory?
Um, well, I believe that when it comes to any style of boxing, anyone can be a come forward fighter. You can find
Mm.
anybody off the street and tell them to put the pressure on somebody, and they can come forward with a high guard and they can swing. They can do exactly what Jay does. But when you look at world championship level fighters, you look at the best from any generation. The one thing that they all have in common is they can box in multiple different styles. They can box on the back foot. They can box coming forward. They can box in phases. They can do all kinds of different styles. Um, and when a guy only knows come forward fighting, eventually he's going to come across a guy that maybe can box on the back foot. Maybe he can counterpunch. Maybe he can fight better in the pocket. Maybe he can fight better coming forward. And that's when they're done. And I know for a 100% fact that I can do all of those things better than Jay. So honestly, I can have an off night and I can still go in there and do what I need to do.
Just to get your thoughts on a couple of other things before I get it back to yourself. What fights are you looking forward to on that card that you're featuring on?
Um, Man, obviously I'm staying focused on my own fight as much as I can, but if there were some fights that stood out, I know that Fez Batista, for me, I've been looking at him for a long time. And Ben Williams, obviously he's coming off of a couple of big victories. I saw that he got a very, very impressive knockout in his last fight. Fez is looking good on the pads. Fez had the ability to land knockout shots. So that's going to be for me for sure. Ben Williams versus Fez Batista, 100% one of the ones that look.
In the scene, it seems like we're cranking up, hopefully, to see AnEsonGib versus Slim. Do you think we'll get it?
You know what? I really, really hope so. Both of those guys, in their own right, have done so much in the scene and for our scene. And stylistically, I think they're perfect for each other. Gib's got the gas tank, Slim's got the power, Gib has the pressure, Slim also has the pressure. Like I just said, there's always a come forward fighter. What happens when they come against another come forward fighter? Both of these guys are knockout artists, so when they come against each other, man, it's going to be fireworks. I need to see that. Hopefully on a main event this year. I really hope so.
Something that raised a bit of controversy was Viddal RIley, the realist in the room, and with the realist opinion, he rated Jake Paul higher than his friend KSI when it came to fighting ability. Do you feel the same way?
You know what? I think no one's gonna know. It's interesting because no one's gonna really know KSI better than his former coach. No one would know that better than I guess his current coaches. So I rate Vidal's judgment very highly because obviously he has no reason to give Jake any bias. So for him to say that clearly, he sees things that Jake does that he thinks could be a downfall for KSI. So I respect his opinion. I think he knows what he's talking about. I think he's shown he knows what he's talking about. But that's his opinion. Doesn't make it the truth, but I fully respect his opinion. In my opinion, I think that fight's a lot closer than a lot of people make it out to be. If I'm being completely honest, I think that a lot of people count out KSI against Jake, but I think that that's a matchup that we just have to see, because who knows, if they fight 10 times, who knows? It could go different every night, and that's what makes it so special.
Just listening and keeping my ear on the ground when it comes to influencer scene. I listen to some of the Twitter spaces and things, and some are saying, look, the influencer scene is a little bit dead. Some are saying, no, it's still alive and thriving. But it seems to me it's like in a bit of a flux right now, looking for new stars, ready-made stars, and you're definitely one of them, but the scene might need more than just the G so it doesn't fox itself in the future. I wrote that one down.
That's hard. I like it. Yeah, no, 100%. You know what? It's never gonna be all perfect. It's never gonna be a complete up. If it was completely up, who knows how we would maintain that? Nobody can maintain that. The UFC, professional boxing, any fight league is always gonna have their ups and downs. And we're coming off of the Prime card and also a very big 2023. For Jake Paul, for KSI, for Soft Poppy, for Slim, for Gib, for Kingpin, for Misfits. So I think right now, when you see a builder card like this with a lot of new faces on it that have the potential to be stars, but we're not quite there yet, people might see it as dead. But once the event happens and you see Ben Williams and Fez and how they do, and which the one out of those two are going to be the future star, me and Jay, which one of us is going to be the future star, was obviously going to be me. All different fights on the card that are going to have big performances. And then we fight on a card with maybe Gib and Slim. That's all it takes for the interest of the scene to come right back up. It just takes one big performance from one guy, which I'm looking to be me, or one big performance of a fight getting announced like Gib or Slim. Or, who knows? We could have what if Andrew Tate fights? What if some other big influencer fights? What if I Show Speed fights? There's all kinds of other big names. And at the end of the day, if these guys fight, people are tuning in. If KSI versus Jake Paul got announced tomorrow, everyone's going to be here for it. So it's a very, we are definitely in a slump, but it's very revivable at any time. And I think 2024 is going to be huge.
Well said. And if we're being real here, Fox, this fight between you and Jay is just the starter for the main course, which is you and Fred Beck, right?
Man, if Fred is down, I am down. I think that that's a fight that is brewing. And for me, I already know I'm game. I'm fighting realistically on the table for me at the time. Jay was the toughest opponent. So I'm here for a challenge. I'm here for any fight. Fred's doing his thing with the interviews, but I've also seen that he's got some amateur experience under his belt too. So, man, if Fred comes into the scene, me and him will never fail to sell. That will always be an interesting fight, regardless of what happens for either of us going forward. And it's a fight that might not happen this year, might not have happened last year, but I think at some point down the line, it has to happen. It just has to.
Fox, I'll leave the final word with you. What happens in your fight January 20th against Small Spartan J?
Against Small Spartan J, you know what, man? It can happen in a lot of different ways. I'm not going to rush anything. I'm not going to say first round knockout. I'm not going to do anything like that because it might not be the first round. But when the opportunity presents itself, I will take advantage of it, as I have done many times in sparring in preparation for this fight. I will take advantage and I will get the job done.
Pleasure is all mine. Looking forward to seeing your debut in the ring January 20th against Small Spartan J. Thanks for speaking to SecondsOut. We'll catch up very soon.